Hey friends, you got Robby T here and Jim, the man, the myth, the legend. Hey, we're with Convert and we're super excited today because we get to talk. It's really all about, we kind of saw this really about a year and a half ago, probably 2 years ago now. We saw the writing on the wall. And we kind of just want to walk through a big fundamental change that we've seen happen in terms of contacting leads, converting leads, and all that. So anything you want to add to that real quick?
No, I mean, it's just becoming the norm. And so for us, it's also a lot less mentally less exhausting,
Yeah.
quite frankly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and so from an ISA perspective, I love text.
Yeah.
It's way easier for me to do my job. I like it.
It's a lot more manageable in some respects. So
Yeah.
let's start here. We got to go down. I want to give a little history lesson behind this and to kind of talk about why this is important. So let's start here. Dials are dying. Let's talk about why, and maybe actually let's talk numbers. Obviously, in our whole business, between our whole ISA department, we've probably made over, 500,000 dials. And when we've been running the numbers, what we've noticed is the contact rates continue to go down. And
It's down to about 6 to 7% now.
oof, and
And we started, it was 12,
Oh, my
if not 15%.
yeah, painful,
Yeah.
to say the least, because you're having to do the same amount of work for half of the results. In our world, we've always kind of lived by the numbers of you make 100 dials, you contact 10 people, give or take, you book one appointment. The funny thing is the contact to conversion ratio, so 10 to 1, has remained pretty similar. And the problem is creating the contacts has become a pain point, a major pain point. So anything you want to add to that before we move on to kind of why that is, why dials are dying?
Why are dials dying?
Yeah, anything you want to add to it before?
No, I think everybody on here would agree. Yeah,
don't call me.
Yeah, don't call me. Like, send me a text.
Right.
It's better for the consumer. It's better for you as the agent as well.
Right. So number one, why dials are dying. The consumer has changed, right? It's you just need to go look at any millennial. I'd start with millennials, right, or Gen Zers. These people are so used to texting, and they will ignore your phone call. They don't care. So the consumer has changed drastically, right? And it's funny because 3 years ago it wasn't a big deal. Now it's becoming fundamental. The second thing is the government gave permission, and I don't think most people know this, the government gave permission to the phone carriers, the networks, Verizon, AT&T, to literally do whatever the heck they wanted to filter out these spammy calls. Because that's really where I think a lot of this has really impacted things, is there's been so many spammy calls that people have been getting that has caused us to tune things out. Like, we see a random phone number, like, we don't want to answer it because it's going to be another deadline call or another automated robot telling me that they want to sell me something, or that my social security is about to expire, whatever it may be. And it's funny because in politics, there's not much bipartisanship in this day and age. But the one thing people agree on is these spam calls are annoying and something needs to be done. So what they did was they literally told the network carriers and the phone manufacturers, you guys go fix this. You do whatever you need to. We're out of it. The FEC or FCC, whatever it is, gave full permission to Verizon, AT&T, the others. You guys can do what you want to help filter these calls out. And it's why people, and I'm sure you've seen this, now on your phone, things will pop up like spam risk or marketing call. And there's these things that are happening to filter out the calls. So
yeah, or they just don't come through at all.
Oh,
right?
gosh, yeah.
Where one click of a button on my iPhone, I can turn off anyone that's not in my contacts. And so they just don't come through at all. Or you see that and you see spam, you're not going to answer that.
I mean, you'd have to be one. I would do it just kind of play with them a little bit. But nobody that's legitimate that wants to have a conversation that's going to open up about the real estate needs is going to answer it. Here's the thing. This is why this matters, is I'm extremely bearish on answer rates because we keep seeing it. And I can't envision a world where all of a sudden people are going to start picking up the phone again. I think what has happened is the spam calls and the political spam calls from, back in like 2016, really what it's done is it's caused us to tune out phone calls from random people, random phone numbers, and it's changing.
And I mean, it's 2020. We're in an election year. It's going to get bad.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that contact rate this summer, I guarantee, is going to be 3 to 4%, if that. And so people are going to be tired. They're tired of spam calls. They're tired of political calls. They're tired of everything.
They're tired of all of it, which is causing them just to tune it out. And the phone carriers are doing that. And like you said, Apple and I believe Android, now in one click, you can literally, like you said, filter out that phone call from a random person and just go straight to voicemail.
But we haven't even talked about the inverse, though, which is we've seen the phone call answer rates go down, but the text answer rates skyrocket.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Why do you think that is, Jim? Why are people answering their text messages? Where's that coming from? Because we're seeing the rise of texting.
We've all seen numbers that we don't know, and we don't call them back. I don't know if I've ever seen a text that I didn't open. Or, I mean, maybe I see it, I know it's spam, I could just delete it right away.
Yeah.
I know.
It's more convenient.
It's more convenient, and the consumer is always going to open those types of messages.
Yeah, there's some people with a lot of unopened ones, but eventually they're going to open it. I think looking at your texts, a little icon on your phone, I don't think many people want to see 99 there.
Right.
I think the number I had read was 90% of text messages, 90+% of text messages get open and read. So crazy. The other thing, I know if I wanted to get a hold of you, the easiest way, the simplest way is just text you.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to respond.
Yeah, that's actually been a really hard habit I've had to break is, like, I'm used to picking up the phone and calling people.
Yep.
And for now, I've had to learn, like, if I want to talk to one of my agents, I have to text them. It's way more convenient for them, and I'm way more likely to get a response rate.
Oh, it's crazy,
so if it's like that with people in the industry,
imagine when it's
probably
for a
like
normal
that
person.
for people that aren't in the industry.
It's really funny that you brought up two things. Number one, you brought up how the political campaign is coming up. And the funny thing is I used to work on political campaigns, and we would use not triple line dialers like some people are used to in real estate. We would use dialers that would call 30 people at one time. And like it's sadistic what they do with those things. So I agree, it's going to make this problem worse.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's ever going to get better. I could envision a day where, for the most part, your initial communication with leads won't probably happen on the phone.
I don't know if I want it to get better, to be honest. As an agent, someone that talks to people and someone, the harder it is for my competition to get a hold of someone, the easier it is for me.
That's true.
Usually. So I'm fine with the answer rates going down.
Yeah, well, it's because we're shifting, right?
Yeah.
And I think that leads us into the third big thing is we're seeing a shift from dials on one side. And the crazy thing is we're two guys that the foundation of everything we've done was dials, dials, dials. Literally, people used to hire me to teach people how to have just phone conversations, to hit the dials. And it's not to say we're not going to call any leads. What we're saying is we just see the writing on the wall, and we're already seeing it where the effectiveness of that call is going down. And really what we're seeing is that shift from being dials focused, and now we're seeing that shift, and we're living in it right now. And I don't know where, like you said, it's going to stop. It's text focus. And really what it's becoming is more database, database focused. And for us, it's always been database focused.
Yeah, and the funny thing is it doesn't matter what industry you're in. A massage therapist texts me if they have an opening. I know it's an automated message.
Yeah.
But guess what? I'm going to open it because I'm like, I can do a massage tonight.
Yeah.
My dentist does. I mean, everybody does text now. And real estate has been slow to catch up to it for some reason.
Real estate slow and technology never.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody else is doing it, and it's just a really easy way to automate your pipeline and to fill up that pipeline.
What's really funny is I think a lot of people are seeing this now. And what's really kind of crazy is I actually see a lot of people that aren't doing anything about it.
Yep.
They're maybe frustrated about it, they're complaining about it, and I see people that have really phone-centric strategies to converting leads. And I fear for them. A really good example is people that are circle prospecting with the 3-line dialers. It's becoming less and less, worth it, to be frank. And the numbers were already against a lot of people doing circle prospecting. I think that that's going to get much worse because people are going to answer a lot less often. And here's what stinks about texting, just to make sure we're very clear about this, is you can't just go and text any lead, anyone out there. You're supposed to only use texting capabilities to leads that have explicitly opted in some way, shape, or form. So you can't go take a list of text all these people because you would be getting dinged hard.
Yeah, you're gonna get DNC violations hard.
And the funny thing is people always say, well, what's gonna happen? You know, will they regulate texting eventually like phone calls? It's already highly regulated. And there's already those massive fees. I think on the phone call side of things, it was the opposite, right? Where it was unregulated, and now there's all these calls and they really are behind the 8 ball on it and trying to fix it. But the big point is this, is that there's this big shift from dials to text. And I think, Jim, you got to something really fascinating was you're excited about it. Why is that? Why are you excited about it?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, if someone tells you to F off Robby, is it more emotionally draining for you if that's over voice or over text?
Oh, hands down. Text, it's like nothing.
And so this role, because you're talking to hundreds of people every week, this role can get really emotionally draining. And so for me, if I just read a text that says that, I don't care.
Yeah.
The second thing is I can automate it.
Yeah.
I can automate it. I can systemize it. I can let my system do the work for me and bring people up that raise their hands and then attack.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just easier mentally and it's easier systemly.
In other words, we used to do all the filtering via dials. Now what we're doing is texting is doing the filtering for us.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have talked about the stats before. 2015, I think you did 70,000 dials, and I think I was right behind you.
Sure.
Last year I did 10,000. I had the exact same amount of closed business.
It's crazy.
And so it's just a lot easier system.
Yeah.
It's way easier to implement. And it's a great way to bring someone new on and to have them come in and filter your database and go through and find some gold. I
like it. And really, we need to make sure that people don't ever call leads. That's not the point of what we're getting at. We're still calling leads. Really, what we're getting at is we're seeing the answer rates, especially at the 4th, 5th plus call. And the first 3 calls, answer rates aren't that different, but it's that subsequent 4 through 100, 200 calls. It used to be worth it because people would answer, nowhere near as much anymore.
Nope.
And texting is changing that.
Right.
Now what's really cool is, like you said, we've automated it. And what's crazy is we're contacting 55 to 90% of leads on our messaging campaigns by 13, 14 days into our plans, which makes life easier for you because it just shows up in your inbox and now you got to engage in a conversation. But there's the risk, right, of you got to be a database manager because it's so much easier to accidentally let someone slip through the cracks. The other risk that I like to bring up regarding texting is it slows things down. On a phone call, in 5 minutes I can learn a ton about you. It's probably going to take me hours of over texting time, right? But in 5, 6, 7 texts, I'll learn the same thing I would learn in a few minutes on the phone. So it's just slowing things down a little bit, and we got to adjust to that. But outside that, you have a lot more control over it.
Yeah, agreed.
Any other big things that we need to talk about on, why we're seeing the rise of texting, the death of dials, all of that?
I think everybody knows it's coming. Everybody's seen it coming. Everybody knows, hey, my phone rings, I get annoyed. Yeah. It's a telemarketer. I think the big thing is this whole industry talks about the way it used to be, or the whole industry talks about that's not right. Yeah. This is the reality, and this is what you have to deal with. So quit living in the past, deal with the reality now, and move forward, and you'll be one of the ones that survives.
That's a very good point. And I mean, change is the only constant, right? Yeah. And you can either complain about it or do something about it. The biggest thing I can stress with this is go make sure your CRM actually works. We were on a CRM that frankly didn't work. We thought it did, it was supposed to, and it wouldn't send text messages like it was supposed to or said it was doing. So go test your stuff, spot test it for people. You should be getting 10+% on that
bottom
text.
of the barrel leads in your system. People that haven't talked to you for 2 years that tell you to kick rocks.
Even if you send the letter A.
Yep. like literally 50. I'd say it's even higher than that.
Yeah.
I've seen averages of 15 to 20% when I've been doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that's not on 20 messages cumulative. It's on that first message you send. So go test it, test things out. If your contact rates are less than 30% on a campaign that's reaching out consistently, another major red flag. As Jim said, we have some messages that we've been using that have a contact rate of 30+%. So just a couple red flags. The other big thing is this is, in terms of texting, big fans of gift messages. Why don't you tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, they just seem to get a way higher response rate. So we started with emojis.
Yeah.
That was good. But then when we switched to GIFs, our response rate doubled, I think.
Yeah, it's some of them. That's like the ones that get 30, 40% are all GIF messages.
Especially if it can be really relevant to that time.
Correct.
So if it's Game of Thrones, like when there's last season of that, like we do Game of Thrones GIFs.
Yep.
You know, so have it relevant to the time you're bringing it. You can also have classics like the Ace Ventura one.
Yeah,
that's a classic. Our alien message, that's a classic.
Classic, yep. So for the aliens one, the GIF is of the scene in Toy Story where Buzz Lightyear's getting pulled up by the claw and the aliens are grabbing him back down, trying to pull him back down. And if you haven't seen our aliens message, shoot us a message. We'll get you a copy of it. The point is that I think those work because I don't think people can connect. Like, that's all automated. Those are automated in our plans, but it seems very human. And I think the other big thing is visuals like that, they convey emotion. Like, that's funny to see. Yeah. And when you can play off of things that people recognize in pop culture or they love, stuff like that, I think it draws people in. But we're entering this new age, an age where just dialing and dialing is becoming less important, and being innovative and texting is becoming more important. So anything else we should add before we wrap this up? We obviously wanted to nail the texting is a new game.
I think we've made our point.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. I think the big thing is just remember to adapt. No matter today it's texting. Yeah. In the future, we don't know what it will be.
Might be Facebook Messenger or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Either way, it's probably not going to be phone calls.
Right. Exactly.
not anytime soon. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. Thanks for joining us with this Convert video. That's all about the death of dials and the rise of texting. You got Jim here and Robby T. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out.
Thanks, guys.